Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Berto is your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard, AVQ. First one in the house today. Welcome aboard, Michael Rutten. Welcome aboard, Yvette Avery. Herod, how are you doing, our beautiful Yvette? Union expert, union everything. And we have May Wood says, good afternoon, everyone. Bridge MCP is in the house. Melanie Keelan, second time for the day. Calling in from Barcelona, Spain. As well, we have May Wood. Let's see what else we got. What a Shiva Las Vegas is in the house. She says, happy Monday. And of course, we have Alistair Waters. Good afternoon. Alistair says, good afternoon, PDR Posse. And there we go with El Senor Bruce Pollard. Bruce Pollard. Let's see what Michael May. What did we hear from Michael that I missed? All right. What the F is wrong with YouTube today? They won't let me comment. It gets auto-deleted. I think I'm on shadow ban. Activity log says some activity may not appear yet. We have to make the distinction to separate civilian Palestinians from members of terrorist group Hamas. For some, that seems to be exceedingly difficult. Whoa, that's interesting. Never heard that before. They better get a better AI working, right? Better get a better AI. Maywood says, sorry if I seem a little distracted or sad today. I learned that two of my brothers, all within an hour of each other. Oh, I'm so sorry, May. I'm so sorry. Let's give all May that PDR Posse hug. We're with you, my brother. We're with you, May. We're with you. We're with you. We're with you. We offer you our most sincere condolences, my brother. Most sincere condolences. I can't even get my words straight. Oh man, what a way to start. Anyway, you have our support, brother. You have our support. Okay, let's see who else we got here. Para ver. Michael says, Rudden says, Egberto, I commented that same message during your live stream last Thursday. You called those who can't make the distinction between civilian Palestinians and terrorist Hamas as racist. Yes, sir. Lee Grant says he's in the house, and Lee Grant as well gives our brother condolences for the loss of his brother. Sorry about that, my brother. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're going to have a great program for you today. Yvette Avery Harris says, send in my sincere prayers and condolences for your losses. May Wood. Again, the family is with you, sir. The family is with you. As well from Shiva Las Vegas, Melanie Keelan. Thank you so kindly. We're with you, brother. We're with you. We're with you. Anyway, let's talk first about, let's get off to something that we can go off with, sort of on the good side. Well, you take it for what it's worth with Liz Cheney. I want to play that video first. Jay Ray, welcome aboard, Ray from Third Ward. Love having you here, my brother. Love having you here. Maywood says, thank you. Pee Wee had leukemia and passed in the hospital. Not sure what happened to Loalo. Oh, wow. I hear you, brother. I hear you. And 1 hour apart, that had to be tough. I get it. That had to be tough. Let's go ahead and start with the Liz Cheney video that I did, and we'll keep on talking from there. But let's go ahead and do that right this very minute. Here we go. And here is Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney appeared on CNN, State of the Union, as well as on many other network programs this Sunday, over this week. And she gave an excoriation of the Republican Party like no one else could. Remember, she was a part of the committee who investigated the January 6th attempted coup on the United States. So she understands where Trump is coming from, where the Republican Party, and specifically Jim Jordan, who attempted to run for the Speaker of the House and failed dramatically, or I should say failed in a dramatic fashion. Well, she appeared with Tapper, where she discussed both Israel, Palestine and many other important issues. As it turns out, yes, Liz Cheney is a conservative. But what's interesting from this conversation is that as well as making it clear that Donald Trump cannot be president again of the United States, she also made it clear that she just may be a candidate for the presidency of the United States as well. And I want to say a few things after that. Check out what she had to say, and then we'll take it on the other side.
What would a second Donald Trump term look like?
Well, he cannot be the next president because if he is, all of the things that he attempted to do, but was stopped from doing by responsible people around him at the Department of Justice, at the White House counsel's office, all of those things he will do. There will be no guardrails. And everyone has been warned after January 6th, after our investigation, after all of the evidence that we laid out about all of the steps in his multi-part plan to overturn the election, there can be no question that he will unravel the institutions of our democracy. So we are facing a moment in American politics where we have to set aside partisanship, and we have to make sure that people who believe in the Constitution are willing to come together to prevent him from ever again setting foot anywhere near the Oval Office.
But if it came down to it, even though you disagree with Joe Biden on almost every issue under the sun, other than maybe Ukraine and Israel, would you vote for him over Donald Trump?
We're going to see what happens. We're going to see how things unfold. I think Donald Trump is the single most dangerous threat we face. I would imagine that there will be a number of other candidates in the race.
Would you be one of them?
I think I'll tell you what I am definitely going to do. I'm going to spend the next year between now and the election certainly helping to elect serious people, helping to elect sane people to Congress.
Of both parties?
Yes. Because I think that we could well find ourselves in a situation, given what we know the Trump folks are doing in terms of attempting to question the results of the election. We don't want a situation where the election is thrown into the House of Representatives and Donald Trump has any possibility at all of prevailing under those circumstances. So we've got to elect people who believe in the Constitution and who take their responsibilities seriously to Congress. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time doing that in addition to other things.
But you're not ruling out a presidential run?
No, I'm not.
I don't think people should take this lightly. Liz Cheney built a certain amount of goodwill with many moderates, many Democrats and Republicans alike for the stance that she took to protect the country. Now, let's be clear here. Liz is as ultra-conservative as she has always been. But the one thing, again, is that she is, in fact, a patriotic American, even if her values seem anathema to that which progressives believe are the right values for this country, as I do. But we shouldn't take it lightly, because compared to our current president, President Biden, she's fairly young. I think she has, with all the past baggage that she had, her present baggage has quite a bit of appeal to many. And I don't know if there are any polls that place her up against Biden as yet, but I imagine they are forthcoming. I think many, simply because of age, may look at her as an acceptable alternative, even if their values don't coincide, because Americans, many of them, have yet to understand that the president is more the presidency than the president, the individual. And that even a less than active President Biden will be able to push through many more progressive policies than a Liz Cheney would be able to do. But a Liz Cheney as president will have us lose much of what we've gained over the last several years of the Biden administration, or I should say the last several years and change of the Biden administration, where many progressive policies were placed into effect, where poverty was stunted, where just the things that we stand for got done. So buyer beware. And I really mean that about buyer beware, because I've spoken very well about Liz because I thought, I know that Liz is a patriotic woman. I know that Liz has done quite a bit to aid in the January 6th commission. Yes, all of that is true. But after that is all over, and after she comes into the fold for leadership, and folks, I only have 6 thumbs up on YouTube. Why don't you give me some thumbs up on YouTube? Very important to help the algorithm go out and seek people. So please give us those thumbs up on YouTube. We need them. And likewise, the likes on Facebook to help the algorithm. Programs like mine, for some reason, gets throttle quite often. But anyhow, let's continue. Michael Rudnin, or rather Maywood says, that's Michael Rudnin says, mainstream network media always loves anti-Trump Republicans more than progressives. Yeah, because they sell the anti-Trump Republicans as centrists, which by no means are they centrists. No means. Liz Cheney is as conservative as she gets. And look, I gave her kudos. I gave her respect for what she did. I think she gave some positive affirmations to the commission. Folks, if you're on YouTube, please give us those thumbs up. We'd like to get those thumbs up on YouTube. Now, Alistair Waters says, in the middle daughter between my big sis and my kid sis, I can't even imagine how hard it will be losing either of them. My love and prayers and support for you, Maywood. This is after Maywood told us his story of his 2 brothers passing within an hour. Sorry to hear again. Bridge says, Eric must be arresting someone. He isn't here. I imagine Eric will get here in a little bit. I think we saw him this morning on the morning show. Lee Grant says there was a lot less war going on under Trump. I agree. There was a lot less war going on under Trump. I think, to put it bluntly, our military industrial complex was probably scared that Trump wouldn't know how to just thread the needle so that we get a whole lot of military spending without a whole lot of pain. I don't know. I'm just saying that. Okay. Welcome aboard. Mary E. Martin says, with all due respect, we really have to get beyond the age thing. President Biden, he and his cabinet are our only political hope. Let me just say one thing, Mary. I don't want, first of all, if Biden is the candidate on the Democratic side, personally, I will vote for Biden. I would much prefer, in the beginning, I would have much preferred a more progressive candidate. We don't have it. I will vote for Biden. I will urge others to vote for Biden, but we cannot put our heads in the sand. Age is a real issue, and anybody watching Biden can see that age is a real issue. Your eyes are not lying to you. The man isn't a vibrant president, as vibrant as can be. And you can say slow and steady, but don't tell an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old slow and steady and to fall in love with somebody, especially somebody now who goes and hugs the war criminal El Señor Netanyahu. All these youngsters understand the plight. First of all these youngsters hate, they abhor the criminal terrorist attack on the 14 to 1500 Israeli citizens. They abhor that. Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt. But they also understand that what the Israeli government is doing to the Palestinians now and has been doing to the Palestinians since 48 is nothing more than inhumane, no matter how you cut it. If the stories were reversed, we wouldn't be taking the stance. And I'm going to play later on today the voice of a young Jewish woman who is the executive director of an organization and what she has to say. It is important that we are honest. It is important that we are in our deliberations, that we are consistent. It's important that we make sure that we treat all humans as humans. Netanyahu is a war criminal, and Netanyahu is currently conducting a genocide. You cannot help it. There are over 5,000 people dying, and he's decimating. 42% of the buildings in Gaza are now either damaged or blown to smithereens, along with many people yet unearthed. That isn't a response. That isn't a response to what has happened. That isn't even revenge. I agree with what the Jewish woman said, and that you will hear shortly. It is a genocide that is occurring in Palestine, and that our government is a part of supporting a tyrannical person like Netanyahu, I think is shameful. It is shameful that we're supporting. And again, so going back to you, my friend, Mary E. Martin, what is occurring right now in Palestine? What is occurring in Gaza? We better start thinking about it. And we better start realizing not only how many of the younger Americans, many of the younger people around the world, many of the honest, moral people around the world, what they're seeing. And when they see our embrace of that criminal, when they see us say, we let him do what he does and we are going to keep him stocked. Our tax dollars will keep him with the material that will be blowing babies to smithereens. We are going to be complicit in that killing. All of us are inherently complicit in the killing that is occurring in Gaza. That is the honest assessment, and that's the honest answer. And that is what is happening, and is not up for the debate. That is what is happening right this minute. Every time you see an explosion in Gaza, and it's, we tell the people to leave. Leave how? All the fuel, they don't allow fuel into Gaza. They don't allow electricity into Gaza. They don't allow water into Gaza. It is almost to just let these people suffer and die. Collective punishment for the sins of Hamas. If your heart doesn't bleed for that, if you don't see the persons doing this as evil, please help me. Help your soul. All right. Paul Fleming says the fact that the New York Times printed a lengthy correction is important. None of the fake Twitter experts ever do that. Doesn't excuse the original mistake, but it's important. Let's see. Editors note Gaza hospital coverage. And by the way, the Gaza bombing is yet unresolved. Okay. Right now, they're still trying to say that it's a Hamas or the missile from one of them. Could be. But what I'm saying, it's still an open question. Both of these guys have been famous in saying the other side is the one responsible for this. All right. Michael Radden says, Lee Grant, Trump dropped about 40,000 bombs per year in the Middle East. Less war. Foreign Policy Magazine 2017. Donald Trump is dropping bombs at unprecedented levels. Michael Radden also, but he says, Michael Radden, Lee Grant. Oh, I read that one already. Paul Fleming says, breaking in a huge win for President Biden, Turkey has officially signed the agreement allowing Sweden into NATO. President Biden has once again united the Western world against illiberal authoritarianism. This is devastatingly bad for Russia, China's geopolitics. But it says, Lee, he didn't start wars, but he did drop a lot of bombs. Paul Fleming Sr. says, decisions at the Supreme Court ruling against donor disclosure have helped to make mega donors like Harlan Crow more powerful and insulated from public criticism. So true, so true, so true. What else have we got here? The plea deal accepted by, this is from Bridge MCP. Okay, hold on a second before. Michael Rondon says, skim the article. It doesn't say who actually hit the hospital. Do you know who actually hit the hospital? No, we don't know that answer. We'd hope to find out sometime. All right, British MCP says the plea deals accepted by Donald Trump lawyers Cindy Powell and Kenneth Chesebro, as well as Bill's bondsman Scott Hall, have opened up Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee's schedule, leaving him free to set an earlier trial date for the former president. According to the former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance, McAfee has been pressed by Fulton County DA Fannie Willis to speed up her RICO trials, and his now open calendar could lead to him assigning trial dates to defense attorneys for the 16 remaining co-defendants. In the case of Trump, Vance pointed out that the McAfee is more than aware of the former president's myriad of legal problems and court dates, most of which are headed to trial later dates or have yet to be scheduled. Substack platform Vance suggested. That's interesting. Fannie Willis would leave it up to judge to rule, but look for her to file a motion this week asking him to set a date. Remember, Willis was willing to try all the defendants October 3rd. She's ready to go, but it's going to be hard to fit all those trials in. And Trump is sure going to complain about both political interference and violation of his rights to adequate preparation. Both are issues all judges will have to take seriously to protect the integrity of any convictions or appeals. Very true, very true, very true. All right, what else have we got here? Replying to Daniel Ado says, I'm sorry to hear that. All the best to you. Cam, Cam, can I send you an iPad? All right. Paul Fleming says, Israelis rallying around the flag, but not Netanyahu. Exhibit A, Israel Democracy Institute poll. I love that. Israelis rallying around the flag, but not Netanyahu. Netanyahu is a criminal. Melanie Shapiro. I don't know what that Facebook story is. Melanie, you may want to put a little description before you just put the link, my dear. Paul Fleming says it didn't paste the graph. Mike C6 says, whoa, Michael Run is having a resort to a 2017 article claiming Trump was at war machine. Well, he had to go to 2017 because Trump was only president between 2017 and 2016 and 2020, right? Come on now, Mike. You know when Trump was president, right? All right. Bridge NCP says Israel keeps stopping and starting aid, but puts its foot down on fuel, which is needed for generators. Think about it, folks. How in hell are you going to run hospitals? Listen, Netanyahu is killing Palestinians and putting them under the rubble, and then making sure that there isn't fuel to run generators that can get them into hospitals to patch them back up. Isn't that the instantiation of evil people? Isn't that inhumane? Come on now. Daniel Ado says Israel needs to exterminate Hamas. That's fine. Hamas did a lot of killing, but they don't need to exterminate the innocent Palestinians, do they? One doesn't have anything to do with the other. Bridge MCP says, Paul, save image and then upload to Imgur and grab link. Let's see. Genocide Unfolding by Craig Murray, UK ambassador, human rights activist and journalist, 1023. Thank you for that, 182247. Michael says, Egberto, the conservative answer to how should Palestinians leave Gaza is start walking. This is it's not going to be as bad as the Trail of Tears. You know what? It's interesting. When I use a Trail of Tears example on another show for what's occurring in Gaza, some people called me anti-Semitic. I am not going to allow anybody to think that calling me anti-Semitic is going to somehow make me less supportive of humanity. I'm sorry. My Jewish brothers and sisters know who I am, and they know me perfectly. And to put it bluntly, there are a lot of things I pass by them just to make sure I hadn't erred in some of the statements that I made. So, folks, that doesn't fly. All right, Mike Cisak says, Paul Fleming, the scariest part is how blind the left is to its wanton regards for people's rights. Namely, the Bill of Rights as an example. Actually, I think the people who have a missing point of view for the Bill of Rights are people on the right? They forgot the privacy for women, right? They forgot quite a bit. So we can go through that, but we won't. Michael Rudder says, May, thank you. Either answer is an accidental misfire, not an intentional war crime. I don't know that, Michael, though. I don't know that it wasn't intentional. Again, I repeat. I think it wouldn't put, for Netanyahu, it doesn't go past me that these guys would bomb a hospital so that people know not even a hospital is a safe zone. Because if a hospital is a safe zone, instead of going south, like the Israeli government is telling to the Palestinians to go south, they may go to the hospitals. But if they know that not even the hospitals are safe, by bombing the hospitals, then that may be an incentive for people to go south. They decimate North Gaza and then repopulate North Gaza by making it a piece of Israeli territory. What do you call it again? By sending settlers into that part after it's been vacated from the north to the south. I mean, I see some nasty things happening here. All right, let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, Reprank Skin on the claim that Democrats are blamed for Republicans' dysfunction in the House. Matt Gaetz and his group of 8 or 9 who managed to overthrow Kevin McCarthy did it under the rule McCarthy promoted that, well, we all oppose. He's a victim of his own terrible rulemaking. If you live by extreme MAGA rules, you die by extreme MAGA rules. I agree. You can't believe the crap that they want to blame Democrats for their failures. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Lee Grant says privacy for women is not in the Bill of Rights. No. Again, the right to privacy is a constitutional construct. Ask any one of the Supreme Court justices. Paul Fleming says, in 1992 Arizona versus California case, states rebuffed tribes' attempts to access Colorado River water. Unearthed records about the case show startling similarities in the ways states have continued to block access in the last 70 years. Look, anybody who thinks we follow treaties, anybody who thinks we follow the law, they need to wake up. Because the truth of the matter is, we follow the law as long as it's convenient to us. We don't follow the law when it's not convenient in our opinion. That's how it is. That's how it has been. All right. Let's see. What we go here. Michael Rudden says to Mike Cisak, 2017 was just a start. Here's one from 2019. Trump continued escalating air bombing. Trump didn't give a damn about collateral damage. Record 7,423 bombs dropped in Afghanistan in 2019. The U.S. has ramped up air bombing since Donald Trump was elected president in 2016. So you know what? It's good with our people from our posse. We actually come with the evidence. All right, what else have we got here? Breed says, what we got? Michael Rundin to Mike Cisak. 2017 was just the start. Here's one from 2019. Trump continued escalating air bombings. Trump didn't give a damn about collateral damage. All right, I read that one already, but here's the deal, folks. We got a new thing to show you. I want you to listen to this young woman. I was so impressed with her. She appeared with Joanne Reed, and what she has to say is quite and very, very important. Here we go. I love it that we have some of the hosts on some of the stations that are actually doing a fairly good job of talking about the Israeli-Palestinian issue in a cogent manner, in an honest manner, and present the case the way it should be presented. Right now, we all accept that Hamas has done a horrendously terroristic act, violent in the way they have murdered those 14 to 1,500 Jewish brothers and sisters. We get that. We understand that. It was horrendous. The response that we are currently seeing by the Israeli government, however, makes one wonder if they can hold any moral authority in the manner in which they're conducting not justice, but revenge, in the way they are decimating Gaza, which already was decimated, which already had its people living in a prison, which already had people who were without rights, which already were in dire straits. I want one to think about these issues as they learn, as they hear different sides of the equation. There's only one thing that is honest. There's only one thing that's correct. There's only one thing that's moral. And it isn't what the Israeli military is doing in Gaza right now. 42% of the buildings in Gaza as we speak, as of the date of this post, are either damaged or destroyed. 42%. Look around any city, look around your city, and make the assumption, what would it look like if 42% of your structures were damaged, inhabitable? Think about what would it be if you had no flowing water, if you had no electricity for weeks on end, because a terrorist organization from your land came in. Think about that. Think about you having to have collective punishment for something that you didn't do. Well, there are good people in America protesting that America has dragged itself too close to the president of Israel, who is Netanyahu, who for all practical purposes are nothing more than a right-wing evil hack. But anyway, let's go ahead and listen to Joyanne Reed and her guest, Stephanie Fox, who is a Jewish Voice for Peace executive director. It's great to see moral folks talking about the issue, not from a militaristic, evil point of view, but from a point of view of humanity. Listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
Well, it's indisputable that Hamas perpetrated a heinous terrorist attack on civilians. The Israeli response and the context of the overall situation in Israel and the occupied territories in Palestine, some 70 years of difficult history, have complexities that aren't as easy to categorize into neat boxes. Hamas doesn't represent all Palestinians or even all Gazans. And there are many Arab Americans who have expressed empathy for the Israeli hostages kidnapped and those who were killed in the October 7 attack. And the Israeli government doesn't represent all Jews around the world or even in Israel. And there are plenty of Jewish people in Israel and the US who are expressing empathy for Palestinians in Gaza. In fact, there have been groups of Jewish Americans demanding a ceasefire, protesting at both the White House and the Capitol this week, with hundreds arrested. I'm joined now by Stephanie Fox, the executive director of Jewish Voice for Peace, one of the Jewish groups that organized the protests. And so thank you so much for being here, Stephanie. I saw those protests and it was very heartwarming to see just human consideration and care. What prompted your organization to do those protests?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Joy. This week we brought together 5,000 Jews in a massive demonstration demanding Joe Biden and other American lawmakers tell Israel to implement a ceasefire right now. We believe this is the largest demonstration in history of Jews in solidarity with Palestinians. We were led by 25 rabbis in a massive civil disobedience where about 500 people staged a sit-in, you're seeing there. And we did this while meanwhile, the Israeli military is raining down bombs on Palestinians in Gaza, the 2 million Palestinians trapped by land, sea, and water, and air, there's no food, there's no electricity, there's no fuel. People are rationing food, drinking seawater. People are trapped under the rubble. Hospitals are out of electricity and whole families are being wiped off of the population registry because every single member, every generation has been killed. We see beloved Palestinian friends and colleagues in Gaza tweeting with their last few moments of battery life on their phones in English about what's going on, because they understand that we in the US have the power to stop this. You know, it's our government that is pouring billions of dollars into what we really understand as a genocidal war on Palestinians being done with our tax dollars as a Jewish community in our names. And so we showed up to say, like, no, not in our names, not with our tax dollars. We refuse this, you know?
And it's interesting. I don't know if you want to comment on Marjorie Taylor Greene calling your protest an insurrection, but I noted that like 300 of your members were arrested that day. That is a very negative context, comparison to the actual insurrection when people were allowed to go home. What do you make of the fact that peace activists were arrested when people who were storming the Capitol were allowed to go home?
Well, it says a lot about the values of the U.S. government, right? That, Jewish Americans showing up to say, absolutely not in our names, demanding a ceasefire now and demanding an end to the root cause of violence for all people there and ending 75 years of oppression of Palestinians. But really primarily in that space saying ceasefire now, that, hundreds and hundreds of us were hauled out by Capitol Police, says a lot about where the U.S. government's support goes.
Let's talk about, there are some progressive Jewish folks in this country who say they feel abandoned by the left, that they don't feel supported, that they're, Jewish people still are the number one targets of hate crimes. What do you make of that, of people's feeling that there isn't as much support for Jewish folks who are also scared and grieving?
Joy, I was raised to understand the core Jewish value of B'Tselem Elohim, which means every single life is precious. All human beings are made in the image of the divine, and every single life is worth an entire universe. And I was also I think about the core lesson that my great grandma Belle, may her memory be a blessing, taught me, which was that the thing we must learn from the Holocaust is that the world let it happen, and to me, being Jewish in the core of me means that there is no such thing as being a bystander in moments of historic injustice, mass atrocity. Like there's nowhere else that Jews would be than the fight to end genocide. It's inconceivable,
It is amazing that the message from Stephanie Fox isn't the American message. A country who inherently should be in the mode of atonement because of its history, not only with Africans and the Chinese and the indigenous people specifically. Our history dictate that we are humane going forward. We must atone for what we ourselves have done. But instead, what do we do? But join the fold, join the fold, join the fold. Thank you, Stephanie Fox, for actually seeing the light, for telling the truth, for making it, allowing others to join in the fold to do what's right for humanity. Absolutamente so. It's so important. It is so important. Bridge, I agree with you. Bridge says, I think Biden is screwing this one up. I think so. And the problem is this one can cost him with that audience he's trying, or an electorate that he's trying to shore up. Specifically, millennials, specifically Gen Zs. They understand the plight of the Palestinians. Look, nobody is trying to take away the evil that has occurred to our Jewish brothers and sisters. But the reality is the Israelis' government response is just an addition to what it has been doing to the Palestinians for decades, bombing without any regards, bombing indiscriminately, not considering the lives of Palestinians of any value. I played a piece. I think I did this on a TikTok recently with the Palestinian doctor that was trying to explain to a particular host that a lot of our problems would be solved if we simply recognized that our Palestinian brothers and sisters were, guess what? Human beings. That's all. Accept and understand that, yes, our Palestinian brothers and sisters, just like our Israeli brothers and sisters, are human. Just maybe things would change. All right, Paul says, powerful. Silver Dollar Road explores a deep history of a Black family's generational waterfront property in North Carolina and the many challenges they face to keep the land from developers. We should all learn about the Reels family story, streaming now on Prime Video. Is it on Netflix? I've got to check that out. Sounds very interesting, my brother Paul. Mike C6 says, Maywood, so then you know what the theme is that runs through the Bill of Rights. The rest of the look, the Bill of Rights is very simply explained. A lot of people like to complicate it. When the Constitution was written, it was just a property rights document, right? That's all, including the popular rights of property rights of slave owners who, wanted their property, human beings from Africa, protected as well. But it did very little to speak about individual rights. And then there is, of course, the fear of what they like to call a sort of a democracy where people, the tyranny of the majority. They like to talk about the tyranny of the majority, right? But no, the principles of the Bill of Rights are very simple. It is to protect the rights, your individual rights. People like to talk about the rights of the minority. Well, the smallest minority is the individual. That's the smallest minority, the individual. And that's who the Bill of Rights is made to protect, right? It says there are certain rights that we do not hold out to mob rule, is how many on the right likes to put it. There are certain rights that an individual holds irrespective of what other people think. So therefore, you can't take away my right to say in the aggregate whatever I want to say. You can't take away my right to own a normal gun. You can't take away my right as a citizen of the United States. You can't take away, and these are rights that the Bill of Rights give to every citizen of the United States. Conservatives like to make it more complicated than that. It isn't. It isn't at all. It is very simple. The Constitution was a very flawed document that immediately needed 10 amendments called the Bill of Rights to fix some of the deficiencies. And subsequently, it had to get another 18 or so. Another 17. I think we have 27 amendments, including giving women the right to vote and all these kinds of things. A lot of people don't realize these issues, right? All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. I am not there. Let's see. This is what you should be voicing in your facts about increased energy charges, not political rhetoric. TDU, Encore, AEP, Central AEP, Texas, North Central. I don't know what you're talking about. Is that the rates for kilowatt hour? Look, there's a simple answer to our electrical problem, right? That is to nationalize the grid. I don't see why we don't nationalize a grid to prevent people from third parties from making money and taking your money out of your pockets for something like utilities. I think there are certain things that need to be nationalized. I'm for the nationalization of energy. It's in my book, and I give the exact reasons why. Okay, Danielle says, why? Why must we atone? What happens if we don't? You can choose not to atone, but don't expect reciprocity, I guess is what I should say. Egberto, thanks for the sanity. Of course, E2247. You know, I bring the sanity. Love you, brother. After hyperventilating about Colony Ridge, that my brother Eric Hayes is still trying to make it relevant. It isn't. It's been blown out. Daniel also, Egberto has it exactly backwards. if it is Hamas that bombs indiscriminately, just sending over missiles without a target. Sometimes they bomb their own hospitals, parking lot. Israel is extremely discriminate when they bomb. No, they're not. They don't care if human beings are there or not. Okay, thank you. Paul Fleming says, and by the way, you are half right. Hamas sends rockets into Israel. It's a terrorist organization intent on terrorizing. That's why it bombs. What makes it worse is that the country that shouldn't be terrorizing indiscriminately bomb buildings where people are. No doubt, the evidence is right there for all to see. All right, let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says Trump's mental decline is on display again. During his speech today, he said, I was very honored. There's a man, Viktor Orban. He's a leader of Turkey, except Orban is a leader of Hungary, not Turkey. He confused two countries and their leaders. That isn't good. He's unwell. But you won't see the right wing playing that up, right? Lee Grant from Michael Rudden. Lee Grant, you deal with Islamic fundamentalists who call for genocide the same way like you deal with other terrorist groups. Make sure you don't do collateral damage by hitting civilian populations and doing collective punishment. And collective punishment is against the world, is against the Geneva Convention, as I understand it. Every time you do a war crime, you make the situation worse. Every time you kill the women and children for those groups you hate, you embolden radicalization. Absolutely so. Egberto, left and right have different ideas as to what normal guns are. Well, normal gun is not an F-16 or a bazooka, okay? I think you get the similarities right there. All right, let's see. Bridge, why the Equal Rights Amendment hasn't been ratified yet? Suffragist Alice Paul proposed the ERA in 1923. Congress approved it in 1970. So why isn't the amendment part of the Constitution? You have to get 2/3 of the states to vote for it as well. That's why. All right, and you know, we have some troglodytes in some states that wouldn't allow that to go forward. Okay, Egberto, what else we got here? Egberto, when you call for government price controls over price gouging corporation, you'll see right-wingers screaming communism. You see, I don't care what they scream. I just care about outcomes, right? You give people what a control electric system is about, meaning they don't have to pay executives those big bang for the bucks that they make, and they start seeing good pricing on their products. Watch how quickly they embrace the things that we support and how to make America utopia, right? And that is one of my books. And by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, one of the reasons I had a very tough weekend is I had to prepare for a book sign-in, an expo at my wife's church. So I went and I sold books. I sold 15 books there on the weekend. I sold mostly How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors, How to Make America Utopia, and my diet book, my book on how I lost weight. But I did good. I sold more books than I expected to sell. I thought I was going to leave there selling 10 books, left there selling 15 books, you know. I kind of help a little bit of take care of the financial pain. So it was good. But there I met a 10-year-old girl who bought my book. She came and the first question she asked is, what made you want to write? And I mean, said it so innocently and honest. And I responded to her and I talked to her about being what she wanted to be, et cetera, et cetera. And she just left and she said, okay, I'll be back. And she left and she came back with her grandma's credit card and she said, I want that book. I said, which one? How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. I said, okay, gave it to her. I had never met such a rounded young woman, 10 years old. So I asked her grandmother if she thinks her daughter would love an interview. And she said, love an interview, she'd love it. So I said I told her, I said, okay, I will, when she's done reading the book, I'll have her on the show so she can tell us about it. But not only that, I told her, made sure when she's communicating with me by email, that she CC'd grandma. Oh my God. I want to make sure that, we all need to make sure and do things right when we're dealing with minors. Absolutely. We must always do things right with minors. And not only that, I'm pretty sure the grandmother knows that my wife is a deacon in the church and that I'm a reliable guy. But for the kid, you want the kid to treat every single stranger the same. Meaning, beware, beware, beware. Anyhow, let's see what Bree says. Michael Rudnin, Eric Hayes, you understand that the environmental regulation against poop water is a good idea. What you get is that Republicans want deregulation while Democrats want regulations. Absolutely so. All right. What else have we got here? We have, let's see. Michael Rudnin says, I really hope Eric Hayes clicks on this. The New York Times, the Trump administration rolled back more than 100 environmental rules. Here's the full list. Read it, Mr. Hayes. Tom Sarnik, how you doing, Tom? He says, per the Daily Kos, the GOP Bush-Trump tax cuts have added 10. That's one of the topics I have, so you can read it in my newsletter. Have $10 trillion to the debt. Bobby Grogan, a senior director for federal budget policy at the Center of American Progress, has argued repeatedly that growing deficits in recent years have a singular chief cause, Republican tax cuts that benefit most of the wealthy and profitable corporations. In response to Treasury figures released Friday, Grogan said that roughly 75% of the surge in the deficit and the debt ratio, the amount of the federal debt relative to the overall size of the economy, was due to the revenue decreases resulting from GOP-approved tax cuts over recent decades. Of the remaining 25%, he said, more than half was higher interest rates payments on the debt related to the Federal Reserve policy. Republicans are terrible at the budget. The last Republican president to have a balanced budget was Eisenhower. At the top of the marginal tax rate was 90%. And do remember, he's the one that said, beware of the military-industrial complex. All right. Paul Fleming says the Waltons are billionaires. We are not, and yet we contribute to Medicaid and SNAP benefits, which many of their full-time employees rely on. Because the billionaires are strapped for cash? No, we support people working full-time on below standard of living pay because their billionaire owners know need what exactly? This is the type of math question that makes me angry, as it should. Daniel Edo says, I love that phrase, collective punishment. It reminds me of that beautiful camps, all the leftists like Egberto and everything else on the left list will enjoy once again control of the country. I have been working on the camp menus. I am thinking the food will be meat heavy with excessive use of A1 sauce. Oh, my brother. Okay, we're coming to the end of the show. And I want to thank you all for watching. I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to my newsletter and to my program. We need a lot more support. So I ask you so kindly to become a supporter. It would be great if you could become a subscriber to either our Patreon or our other, YouTube subscription or our newsletter. But anyhow, let me put that link in there for you. You can support us by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. Here is the link, politicsdoneright.com/support. That has all the methods in which you can support us all together. Please subscribe to our newsletter. Please become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. Our newsletter drops every morning at 5 a.m. But not only that, anybody who subscribes to our newsletter can read all of our books as a part of the subscriptions. And not only can you read all of the book as part of the subscription, any subsequent books that I write, you can read. You can read. Any subsequent book you can read. Paul Fleming says today the Biden administration is announcing 31 tech new hubs across the country that will create jobs and invest in American manufacturing. I hear you. Anyway, folks, please support our newsletter. Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Please become a paid subscriber today. That will really help us defray much of our costs. We cannot do this without you. Anyway, we got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. I want to thank you all for coming to the program. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. It goes like this. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.